Good day to all. This is the second part of overview of management advisory services or MAS practice. So in the part that we have to communicate our results and MAS engagements, we have to take note of these 5 items. First is that our report should contain the major findings, conclusions, and recommendations, which should be communicated to the client. Second, the assumptions that we have in getting or obtaining those items in number one. Then such should be communicated as well to the client. Number three, it's possible that communication with the client would be done, if not on a regular basis, but at least there would be times that such communication should be made, especially for lengthy engagements. Let's say the engagements would last for more than a year or even in just a year. So at least there would be communication like monthly and so on, or as needed as possible in the engagement. And that's why this is called interim client communication, because it is going to happen for less than the time frame or duration of the engagement. Then number four, final reports may be written or oral, but we would really suggest to be reduced in writing or written because you know that our memories are limited. So depending on these items, understanding with the client, degree to which progress is reported during the course of the engagement, intended use of the results, sensitivity of material covered. So this one is something new, but then it depends upon whether our coverage for the engagement really are containing very sensitive or at least sensitive information. So such should not be divulged or confided to any unauthorized parties. And if there's a need for a formal report in matters of like engagements on a big scale, even for small scales, suggested that the result should be in writing because again, we cannot remember all items that's going to happen. When a written report is not issued, the practitioner should prepare a memorandum to his file outlining the results achieved and documentation provided to the client. So it is now on the practitioner's end to keep documents and other information because we will never know what can happen in the future in case there would be items like litigations or times that the practitioner will be asked to provide information, especially for legal cases. At least we have our evidences with us. Then consultations for the nature, they may occur concurrently, meaning at the same time with other services such as audit, review, or compilation of financial statements, tax services, or an MAS engagement. However, as a rule, though, we are not allowed to provide an attest engagement, just like audit or review, with consultation, MAS, which is an example of a non-attest engagement or non-assurance service or engagement at the same time of a certain or same client. So they can be performed for any time, concurrently or simultaneously, but they have to be coming from different clients. Second, they may involve one matter or many of them. Number three, interaction may be via telephone, to be done by telephone or non-business setting, periodic meetings, or formal writing. So there are plethora of engagements and interactions possible. Number four, MAS consultations would include advice in the form of explicit recommendations. So really, it's explicitly or expressly provided. It is specifically provided. Then guidance on a suggested course of action. So in terms of selecting the course of action, then the consultant, the practitioner should be guiding or should be assisting. Then limited analysis of options or the advantages or disadvantages at least compared to MAS or management advisory service. Then fact finding in the form of limited technical research on a specific matter. So the common terms for the latter two items would be the word limited. Also, we have to exercise due professional care, just like for the MAS. So the items that we discussed in the previous page or pages. Then planning and supervision, similar, there should be planning. Then the more complex the engagement there is, so the more that we have to plan properly. It doesn't mean though that if simple, we do not plan properly, but then the more that there will be certain additional items to consider. Next, for second, planning is based on an understanding of the inquiry and nature of service asked by the client, and the planning should be properly documented. When staff or where staff is involved, it should be given that such or they should be qualified and they should be properly supervised by a supervisor or a person that is on top of these staff. For example, you are the head practitioner. Then sufficient relevant data and MAS consultations. When the advice given is based upon information supplied by the client that is not verified, corroborated, or reviewed, then the client should be advised that such advice is based on the accuracy of the information supplied. So in other words, if the client provides the information and then we make advice as practitioners on that, so together with advice, we should be saying that we are doing or we are providing this particular advice based on the information that you provide to us. Then that's very important thing for this item for sufficient and relevant data. Second, where the practitioner believes that the information is insufficient, so this information is provided by the client, for example, then he should consider qualifying his advice or refraining from giving any advice. This is a case normal for audits. So in case that we cannot really provide the desired output for our engagement because of insufficiency or lack of information, so we can provide an exception that we are able to have these findings for these items except for this item because of the limitation for the scope or limitation of the information provided or data gathered. Then if that's really material, so we would be refraining, so we do not provide any advice. That's also an important thing, which we can add to the previous sections for MAS engagements as a whole. Then for technical standards, you have already mentioned this one. They're the same for MAS engagements. A while ago, I've discussed, or in the previous video, I've discussed that they are the same MAS engagements and consultations, but then at the end of the day, consultations are of lesser degree than the MAS engagements. But in terms of technical standards, if you can notice, these four items are the same. Then role of practitioner and AS consultations. This is very important. Number one, the practitioner should be careful to avoid misleading the client into believing that the practitioner assumes responsibility for making decisions. Again, we just recommend or we just provide courses of action to our clients. We do not assume any responsibility in implementing such recommendations or courses of action. And then second, guarantees the benefits the client seeks. So we are assuring our client that this would really happen. These benefits would be obtained or would be fulfilled at the end of the engagement, or if you, for example, implement or apply these suggestions. Then third one is predicated his advice on full consideration of all relevant information. So we would be saying that we have really considered all items or all relevant information about this particular engagement, and I've based my advice on that. So we do not mislead our clients because there are other factors, especially, for example, the insignificant ones or those items that are not significant in terms of peso amounts or values, but then in terms of qualitative factors, they can be significant. So we do not give any assumption that we have really considered all items. Normally, we just focus with significant or material amounts. Next, for client understanding for MAS consultations provision, then This has been discussed also, the nature or specific or general, the financial significance and complexity. So that's given already. Second, the nature and form of communication with a client is a matter of practitioner's professional judgment. So this is also discussed. Advice may be oral or written, but it's really better to reduce such in writing. Also, I will be mentioning that such items have been discussed in part one or previous video, focused more on MAS service provided by CPAs. So unless they are going to be different here with MAS consultation. So that's the time that I'm going to dig deeper. Also, it is very important to take note, guys, that when we discuss MAS consultations, this is now the point that the service is provided by CPAs and non-CPAs, so both of them. But management advisory services really are provided by CPAs. So I hope that's clear. Management advisory services provided by CPAs, but management consultation, these are provided by CPAs and non-CPAs. Qualifications of a CPA and MAS practice. So we have also the following things as discussed. So the competence, familiarity with the client's financial accounting and internal control systems. For the second one, what if in our engagement, especially at the start or beginning or onset, we do not know really about these items about our clients? So what can we do? We can conduct in-depth investigation or research from our client. We obtain preliminary understanding so that we'll be familiar with the client's financial accounting and internal control system. So that's also okay. It's not necessarily that we know the material ones at the onset. So it's possible that we are not yet familiar, but we will accept the engagement. Bottom line. Number three, analytical experience, because this would involve analytical skills and problem solving skills. Also, we should be professionally independent from our clients. We should be objective. We should be focusing only on the facts at hand or on hand and gathered, if not on hand, and then integrity. So we should be doing our tasks with the attitude of professional diligence, and then we are going to think that this is in behalf of our client. So what I meant by that is that if we say in behalf of our client, then what we are doing is for the good of our client. Again, we're not making decisions for them. So we're doing our actions because this is going to benefit our client in some way or in one way or another. Then competence and MAS involves the following items also discussed in Management Advisory Services Part 1. For analytical approach, this involves, for some items here also discussed, I will just pick items which are not yet discussed. For opportunity for improvement, well, that's the focus for MAS engagements. So we've said that this would improve our clients. In fact, this has been mentioned, but I would like to highlight that again. Anyway, so let's have a go through of the approach and then the steps. Ascertaining the pertinent or the applicable facts and circumstances, the purpose or objective of this particular consultation or engagement, the problem or the OFI, opportunity for improvement. We evaluate what would be the possible outcomes should we have now the courses of actions or alternatives or options to solve such problems, presenting findings and recommendations based on such data gathered or evidences gathered. And if adopted, practitioner may also be involved in planning and scheduling implementations, but the client should be the ones to implement. So just a matter of assistance on the part of the practitioner. And then advising and providing technical assistance for implementation as explained in layer A. Because of course it's going to begin in planning and then scheduling, then later on the implementation. So I hope that's clear. Now, before we proceed, of course, I've mentioned a while ago that management advisory services are the services provided by CPAs, while management consultancy will be by both CPAs and non-CPAs. Well, that's true. But if we are going to, let's say, attach MAS to the word consultation, so that's going to be focused now on the CPAs. So how do we make it applicable to all? It will be management consultancy. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Then these are the guidelines to assist CPA firm in defining scope and conduct of MAS. So we have here scope, meaning our coverage for the engagement. Independence should be total. It should be the sum of independence in fact. So internal and appearance external. So it should be combination of two. Competence should have the necessary educational background, qualifications, and skills. Specialization, if the CPA is not an expert of that area, it's possible that the practitioner will be employing other experts as well. Then the practitioner is there in order to help identify and solve the client's problems. Referrals, it's possible that a practitioner may refer certain portions of the engagement to qualified individuals as a number four because he is not an expert of that area. So certain staff would be involved in the engagement. And code of ethics is very important in that any area of consultation or engagement should be guided by code of ethics. For CPAs, we have the PICPA Code of Ethics, Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. We have the areas of knowledge and MAS engagement. So these are the items in which the practitioners would be knowledgeable. So you can just go over, run through with these items or expected to know these things. If not, again, conduct research. Our outputs or solutions and MAS engagement could be for MAS or sales reporting. In fact, we can be also engaged in sales because we can be knowledgeable in systems and in computations of sales, especially also with the forecasts of sales and the pricing. Cost accounting for cost, work measurement. So in terms of whether we are effective or efficient in our respective duty hours and so on. So that can also be involved. Production control, so improved in terms of monitoring production, organizational plan, and even with IT systems or EDP systems, or we can say electronic data processing, also known as information systems and IT, information technology. Steps and MAS engagements would begin with analyzing first. So we have to dig into what causes the problems or problem of a certain organization respectively. Then design. After that, we determine and evaluate possible solutions and we present findings and recommendations for our clients, choices, options, alternative courses of action. In implementation, we now help or assist our clients in planning, scheduling, and then advising and providing technical assistance for the recommendations. In implementation, we have to take into account the following. The client understands the implications. What happens on or before or during the implementation and after, the client knows what are the possibilities in terms of the results or outputs of such. Then the client should make a firm decision to proceed with implementation, most especially with like the courses of action. They want to have the steps, procedures, so they must have the decision to really proceed to that. Then clients' responsibility for the implementation should be fully resided to them. The responsibility of the practitioner should be on the advice only and on the matters of his conduct of such engagement. Then the client has expertise to handle implementation. It's possible that certain people needed or certain employees or staff would be involved and certain skills would be involved in the implementation and would be hired by the client. So hired most especially if not yet available. So the client must ensure that. And the client has knowledge to maintain the systems. It does not stop with the first implementation or approval or just for the sake of it, but it should be the sustenance or maintenance of it in the long run and the support. Now, to close this particular part here, we must also discuss the types of MAS engagement. So we have three. Just to differentiate, if you say full scope, the practitioner would be participating in the three steps discussed here in ADI, analysis, design, and implementation. A limited special study, so the practitioner will only focus on certain area. For example, will be on the selection of computer equipment that is needed perhaps in the operations of a certain business or client. While limited client involvement is something that is to be cautious about by the practitioner, especially if that would involve client not holding or assuming complete responsibility for the changes in the organization and to carry on whatever programs there would be after implementation. So again, as said, it should be clear that the client will be implementing that and will be maintaining and sustaining whatever program there is. Then guidelines for financial forecasts. The following should be taken into consideration in making any forecast. So estimates are here and then financially done. Accounting principles in effect. So take note there are assumptions in terms of how do we apply or how do we compute certain accounts on the financial statements or the accounting process as a whole to be taken into consideration and should be applied also in preparing the financial forecast. But then it's just that the amounts are estimated, not in terms of historical financial information like financial accounting. Then the forecasts are prepared by qualified personnel. Qualified, they have the necessary educational background, expertise, experiences, certification, seminars, trainings provided or applicable. Then if ever there are plenty or two or more information available, use the best available. Assumptions should be reasonable. Documentation should be adequate. Then the results or attained results, for example, for a certain option should be compared and select the best one. Then adequate review and approval by management. The management is the implementing party and supporting and sustaining party. So it should be the one to make the decision prior and should be reviewing and approving such prior to implementation and sustenance and support. All right, so that ends our second part for discussing overview of MAS or Management Advisory Services. Thank you very much for listening and God bless us all.